Welcome back, everyone, to the ECS Season 7 Finals. I'm here with Complexity's coach, Warden, for a quick chat ahead of their match against the MiBR. So, first of all, Warden, I know that this team has gone through a huge change recently. There's a lot to work on here. First things first, Steph is full-time in-game leading for the first time in his career. So, as the coach, what sorts of advice are you giving him?
You know, Rory was always like a natural leader within the team anyways, even though Peter was calling before. So he's always had that second voice in the game where, you know, maybe Peter dies or he's the one giving input. So the advice I'm giving him is just keep doing what he's been doing, you know, be that leader that he's been for the team, you know, this whole time in and out of the game, and just continue to work hard.
I saw that Def had mentioned that previous leading up to this tournament that the team worked a lot on specific preparation. Can you elaborate a little bit on that and what types of preparation that you guys did?
Just a lot of hard work. You know, we worked through Memorial Day weekend, which I was proud of the team for doing that. And we just 8 to 10 hour days every day, knocking out, you know, details on maps that we really haven't addressed before. And I'm excited for the team. Maybe we won't show up as well as we'd like this event, but I know for a fact we're going to be strong within the next 3 months.
Well, there's no doubt that the experience that you guys are having here is going to be really important, specifically for Obo, who is your newest player. He's only 15 years old, so much raw talent to work with. So when you're working with someone who is so moldable, you know, what kinds of things are you focusing on?
Well, early on in his career, it's important for him to stay humble, for sure. I think it can be, for a psyche of that age, it can be a little overwhelming when he starts getting so much love and praise. So I think that's important. But I also think he needs to focus on the fundamentals, make sure his comms are strong, make sure he's practicing right, make sure he's a good teammate. So, you know, just continue to mold him and make sure he has a long, prosperous career.
Sounds great. Definitely looking forward to this match. Best of luck. And this game will be starting in just a little bit. But for now, let's head over to catch up with Paula, who went on a date with Fallen.
Oh, Gabriel, good to see you, man. Should we do a hug?
Long time not see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Hugs are always special.
Cheers. It's a good white.
Paolo, he tries to be romantic, but his face doesn't help much.
So, what do you think you have to offer me?
You know, I heard you were looking for a teammate.
Yeah.
You know me, bro. I'm the badass. If you hire me, you don't need anyone else.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe the date with Gabriel. It was crazy. You could tell he was a man of sophistication.
You know that, right?
I don't want to get on the wrong side of bad Fallen.
That's the problem. If you have me on your team, you need both, you know? You can't control me.
It was like everything lit up in magical colors. Yeah. And how's everybody in the team? Because I'm gonna be dating them as well, so.
Well, can't really speak for them, right? So you're gonna have to take your own.
You're not gonna get jealous or anything.
I will a little bit.
I like that. I actually like that a lot. It's right. Cute. Gabriel, who are your biggest rivals here in London?
I think our biggest rivals should be Astralis. I think they're gonna come in full force.
Gabriel made me feel butterflies in my stomach, and I hope he thinks I'm his butterfly that comes from a cocoon that, you know, become even better over time. How does evolution work? Yeah.
Let's play the homies, right?
Homies, yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure, Gabriel, and you look great. You smell great. These things are all important, and good luck in ECS and in this competition.
Getting a rose from Paula would be like butterflies. You'd be awesome. Paula is like a butterfly.
I had a great time with Gabriel, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does in the tournament. And, you know, if he places well and wins a lot of money, it'll make him more attractive to me.
Love really is in the air, isn't it? I mean, if it's not just for Fallen's money, Paolo said from there, I mean, he's been with Apex so far, been with Fallen.
Yeah, he's been going around.
Yeah, he really has.
And the players make some good money. So, look, that should be the main focus here. Financial stability in life.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a pretty important thing to have.
So.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him go on many more dates. But of course, you can use our hashtag ECS7 to let us know what you're thinking at home, what you're thinking of Parla's dates, or maybe what you're thinking of the games, which is mainly what we're here to talk about. And we're going to be moving on to Complexity versus MiBR. This matchup, again, not a team where we were expecting to be in this situation right now.
Yeah, and I think yesterday, considering that first half that they showed on a map where they normally had a lot of trouble and their B bomb site for a very long time, and then they had a 12-3 half. They should have potentially had a 13-2 half, and then you go on and you lose the game in triple overtime. It can be relatively disappointing. That's probably one way of putting it, but I think they can take solace in the fact that they now get to play against Complexity. And that's not a diss on Complexity. That's just the fact that they've just added a 15-year-old. They have a new in-game leader. Ricky hasn't been able to compete in Tier 1 Counter-Strike because of lack of visa issues. So you've only really have Shaz and Def here as the solid base for this team. Things have been chopping and changing for these guys over recent months.
Well, and even then, like, Def is in-game leading now, so that's another thing that's going on to his play, and there's a lot changing in the dynamic of this team. I really, really want to pick up on Obo, though, because yesterday, his first performance at a LAN event, and he was looking pretty solid on Dust 2 against Vitality. I mean, it wasn't a bad showing from him by any stretch.
No, he was getting frags. I mean, he was doing, I guess, as much as he could. You know, given the circumstances, he alone shouldn't be expected to necessarily carry Complexity to victory over a team like Vitality. So yeah, no, I think definitely we saw promising signs from both him and Shazam to start us off. But again, it needs to be more of this for them to actually be able to find some success, or actually have something that they can hang their hat on or build off of. Because I mean, you kind of mentioned what's been, I guess, stable around them and how. Well, it's pretty much just been Def and Shazam who's been, I guess, around. But we kind of forgot to mention Sick. And I think that's partly because he hasn't really done a lot to be remembered for lately, which is a bit of a shame. If you go back a couple of years, two of the hottest talents that people were talking about out of NA was Twists, obviously, panned out pretty well for him, and Sick. And Sick has kind of just hit this bit of a stagnant plateau for quite some time, and I'm not really sure what's going to take him to the next level, if this is going to be the team that brings him up and actually, I guess, puts him in the right positions to succeed or not. But so far, it's been fairly lackluster, and that needs to change if Complexity wants to find success.
Yeah, I guess when you look at this team, he would have to fit into the category of one of the producers, right? One of the fraggers, and that hasn't been the way thus far. So hopefully we can see some better signs out of him. But this Complexity roster, if they're chopping and changing and they're willing to bring in a kid like Obo here, that means they're already kind of looking towards the future. And things for this team, as you heard from Warden in an interview before, is it's going to be more of a long-term project as opposed to just jumping in and being able to turn things around. For me, noticing Ricky on Dust 2 picking up the secondary AWP more, that's a good sign. I think he's one of those individuals. I put him in the same boat as like Yam, who I used to play with in Renegades. They're good AWPers, but it's better for them to be secondary, right? If they just are feeling it, then they can take over a game. So I think keep Shaz on the primary, Ricky doing the secondary. It could be nice signs, but the map pool right now could be up in the air. That's for sure. I don't know where Complexity are going to be landing too much.
I mean, I feel like, well, they dared to go against Vitality on this too. I think that's a brave choice, but I also think it's something that's worthwhile considering versus MiBR. But obviously, MiBR will have the option to potentially ban that out. So, but outside of that, I don't really think they have too much of a leg to stand on in a lot of the matchups that they really would, or a lot of the maps that they would be able to go up against MiBR on.
Is that Keita behind them? I think it was. He's he's probably doing some analysis / coaching stuff. Because I heard some rumors that they wanted to get him to be the coach or something along those lines before, and Stan wasn't too keen on that. So
maybe
he's a bit reluctant to the coaching stuff, but that was something that was in Def's interview with HateRTV.org.
Yeah. He was saying that he wanted it to be more of his sort of own project, right?
Yes.
And you can see why that would be a reason they would have to change it out. Because I kind of thought a bit last minute coming to this LAN event, being one of the only, well, this is the second one they've attended this year, I believe, which it is a last-minute change, but I think it's something they need, you know?
Oh, for sure. In Counter-Strike these days, with all the different bits and pieces going on, it's impossible to be playing in a tournament circuit without having a coach, without having an analyst to do the extra legwork for you because of all this travel, and that's something that MiBR have brought back. They've brought Zeus back, right? It's getting the family, getting the boys back together, getting Taco back in here. So you heard about the evolution with the butterflies and the cocoons from Parla. Well, this is like a de-evolution because this is a roster that you may have seen before, 2017. They've actually won an ECS season before, this exact lineup. Starting things off yesterday, not too hot. I'm thinking they'll probably turn it around today just like we saw Astralis did. I don't know whether it'll be with the same cleanness, but it'll be it'll be a victory for these boys, I think.
It should be. And I mean, if there's any truth to what Suze was talking about in his interview with Suze yesterday, the fact that they, they try to take a more professional stance to it and how they prepare for tournaments, how they prepare for opponents, that also, includes complexity. Even though that is a matchup that they should be going into feeling rather confident, you can't necessarily rest on your laurels. Even if it should be on paper a pretty easy matchup.
Exactly, we saw that kind of coming out yesterday, right? It seemed like they were almost getting a little bit too comfortable, and then it just ran away, right? They had the advantage, and how do you kind of, as a team, come back from that mentally into a best of 3 where there is, again, so much on the line? Similar story, I guess, to Astralis.
I think for MiBR, the way they lost to North, it was, again, they will have looked over that match. And again, Valde, pointed it out during his interview as well with Sue, the fact that when teams look back at games like that, they're going to see so glaring, mistakes happening on, left and right sides of the map at any given time. So it's not something you get too bogged down about. Obviously, it sucks in the moment, right after you finished off the match, you've lost something that you should have closed out, half an hour ago or more. Obviously, at that point, everything stinks, but once you get a little bit of space from it, it should be pretty easy to swallow. You can see that, we just shouldn't have been careless with our money. We shouldn't have bought, had a couple of rounds with hero AKs where we're not doing full investments, where we're, basically foregoing utility, basically just very basic fundamental stuff that they normally wouldn't do, and they didn't do, in the first half that got them to that point.
Yeah, it's easy to find yourself in a game where you have such a huge lead and you only need, 1 round to get across the board or 2 rounds to be complacent right in your approach. You feel that it's going to come, you feel that an X Factor play is going to happen and you're going to be able to get across the line. That didn't happen for them. It stood strong, and the only clutch came out of North. It was easy with that 1-on-3 situation, and that was in overtime.
Yeah.
So it could have just been a bit of an off day yesterday, so we'll see how the MiBR is doing today.
Well, definitely. And I mean, we were speculating before we came live here about the map veto, and now it is time to get it up on our screen. So what are you guys thinking for this?
I don't think MiBR should risk Vertigo. Okay.
They're actually respecting Complexity's nuke, and I think that's because they ran into Complexity online as well and dropped that map versus them. And also, I guess Complexity's willingness to play the map versus a team like Vitality, who more or less specializes in Dust 2. So I can see that as a bit of a respect ban. I still think MiBR have so many other strengths to play off of in this matchup that they're just taking away the few strengths that Complexity have as of right now.
I want to see if Shazam is true to his word and if they go for a Vertigo pick, because
that would be very fun.
It would be unbelievable. I don't think it's going to happen, but
they did.
It will.
They did.
And you may as well take the risk if you're Complexity here, right? You may as well definitely take this risk. I completely understand it. I respect it. It's like that if I was in their position, I would have done the same thing. MiBR are going to get rid of Nuke in that second phase, so we're left with Mirage and Inferno.
I feel like Complexity they might want to lean towards Mirage.
I think after you saw what happened on Inferno yesterday... Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess it's more of an open map, can allow for more individuals to take over.
It's a map that Complexity, I guess, fiddle around with more so than Inferno. And I think it's also a case of they also realize what we saw in Inferno yesterday from MiBR is not necessarily too likely to happen twice. I mean, North didn't have the same kind of experience when they went up against Vitality on the map, later on in the day. So because that's such a glaring mistake, then it's easy to fix. So they're not going to test the waters.
Well, definitely. So coming into this, who you have on the cards for your predictions? I'm going to start with you over there, Halva.
Yeah, again, it's going to be very straightforward
Keep
in
it
that
safe.
sense. Yeah, I'm not going to go for that wild ride just yet, but MiBR has to be your favorite going into this, and I'm thinking it's going to be a 2-0 as well. I mean, as much as I'd like to see a bit of an upset on Vertigo, MiBR have played it as well. They've beaten Liquid on Vertigo. We know that Liquid have actually put in work on the map as well.
Yeah.
So I think all signs are pointing towards the Brazilians.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see them correct course here and win this one relatively easily. I agree with Halvor in most of those sentiments there. So I'm going to go with the Brazilians, and Sliggy's already thrown in his prediction. It just silently gets in there.
I think it's going to be MiBR across the board for everybody, because, I think
it's a full house.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing Vertigo. For the first time here at ECS, I'm incredibly excited
see how messy it is.
Yeah,
see
exactly,
how many smoke diffusers we get.
I don't think we're going to see that many anymore, actually. Yeah, I'm actually feeling pretty hopeful that it's going to be an entertaining match.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I could be entertaining for one way or another.
Obviously, the YouTube predictions coming through with MiBR being heavy for everything. That is expected, right? They've got such a fan base behind them. 27% going with Complexity out there. There are some believers.
I'm actually surprised it's 27%.
Yeah.
It's a very dedicated fan base right there.
Yeah, waking up early for this one in the States, I suppose. But I think odds, once again, a bit more reflective of the
reality.
true...
Just quickly, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. We've got our premium pass. Who are you going to be looking out for? I'm going to start with you with MiBR. Who would you be watching?
I like the way that Fallen rotates around with the AWP on the CT side, keeping it with an AWP theme today.
Kind of stole my pick there.
Sorry.
Yeah, Fallen's like really fun to watch. It's we get to see, I guess, old Fallen, and that's a lot of combat opping is possible here on. Oh, well, I'm thinking more towards Vertigo specifically. That's who I would look for there. On the side of Complexity, Shazam. I mean, the counterpart really to Fallen. Again, had an excellent first day here, even though it didn't go as well for the team. And if you want to have a secondary, I guess Oboe is always fun to watch.
Well, if you're watching with our premium pass at home, we got Fallen on feed 5 and Shazam on feed 6. But I think all we have left to say is throw it over to our casters over there. I'm incredibly excited to get into this one. James and Dan, how are you feeling for this?
I entirely agree with those picks. I think mainly on the CT side, I'd go for Shazam and Fallen. I think those are going to be very interesting. Shazam's always good in the pistol rounds as well. We've got Vertigo on LAN. That's going to be very, very interesting. We saw a fair amount of Vertigo, more than you might expect during the online season. Of course, Vertigo has had very severe changes since then. I think it is improved. Is it a good map, though? That's a different question entirely, but we'll have more discussion about that later. That is map number 2. But for map number 1, Train, we've got MiBR. Looks like they're going to be starting on a CT side. Dan, how do you feel? Tommy, I'm your therapist today. Get on the couch, close your eyes, talk to me.
It's an interesting one because I feel like this is a map where if we go back to the old school Brazilian core, this was one of those crazy maps where they had enormous, like it was so consistent, their results on the CT side. I want to see a return to that. I know that they're capable of it. That's their complexity. I've always found affinity for this map as well. And Shazam's a great AWP here. So lots to be excited about, but as we're into the pistol, cold0 is going to start things off pretty nicely, defending the inner rush with one frag. Taco gets one as well. The bomb's yet to be planted as well. So this is problematic with the CT on the high ground. They can't plant the bomb, James.
They cannot plant the bomb just yet. Oh, in the middle. Yes, they can. Def will do it. The new man. Lead by example. Not new man, new leader. But Complexity, they're getting hit by these sleep darts, man. They've got 2 players remaining of the 5. Def taking some more damage. He has no Kevlar as well. Down to 6 HP. He is getting cut to ribbons. But it's a 2 versus 2 now, so they've been clawing things back, and all of a sudden Fallen is alone. He can't quite finish them off. Man like Oboe with the ace in the pistol round. The new man, how old is he? 15?
That's beautiful. What a performance.
He's still getting the discount to get on the bus. He's not even an adult yet.
That's beautiful. What a round from him. He gets pretty, well, I was going to say he gets deep. He doesn't get that deep on the bomb site, but he gets a forward position. He stops the CTs from pressing on the bomb site, allows enough space for the plant to go down. He's pretty much stuck in this position most of the time, just dodging forwards and backwards, trying to get those shots off. And he does such a good job with such limited space to work with. Oboe with a great showing so far in the limited situations we have seen him in. I can't wait to see what else he has to offer in this series.
There were so many questions when people saw mine and Stanislaw plus Oboe. People were like, you what, mate? Well, that's what. 5 kills in a pistol round. Come at me. From very tough positions as well. And we have a force buy from MiBR. 2 high explosive grenades on the likes of Phelps and Taco. Triple scout. I mean, if there's a map you want to do that on, Train is most certainly up there.
Yeah.
And on a Brazilian team as well, there's a lot that they could do with this.
Yeah, triple scout's pretty exciting. The 2 HEs in there as well. So pretty pleasing to see the triple scout. You don't often get to see it. Don't often get to see it as much as we should. There's no excuse now, James, because we have, since the economy update where you get $1,900, you skip straight to that second round loss bonus. Everyone can buy a scout, no matter if you get a kill or not. Used to be that you'd have to get a kill first.
Let us not forget what happened in the I think it was an anti-eco round on Dust 2 for Complexity. By no means are these rounds a given. They have plenty of damage to avoid. They don't want to get tagged and then fragged just like that. Fallen tags with the Scout. cold0 follows up immediately with Desert Eagle. That is a very nice advancement for Complexity. 3 very fast frags. cold0 and Taco remain. Sick and Oboe are low. However, 1 versus 4 make it 3. You do start to wonder, Sick and Def are just 1 tag away from going down, so they really need to make sure they get this crossfire in situ, or just flank with Shazam. 2 rounds from 2 for Complexity.
Yeah, that was a bit scary, actually. I think we saw Fallen around camera at the beginning of the round, missing a couple of shots. If he connects one of those, then it could get even way scarier, but that's the game of the scouts. You got to get those connections in immediately. You can't miss any shots. We're going to see Complexity now in an anti-eco situation. So things smooth for now. There is some danger in this round though. coldzera with a deagle. P250 on Taco, that's the firepower. It's all the firepower, but it is concentrated towards this B-bomb site. And the bomb is moving. Mac 10 of Oboe should be enough to deal with all of this though. As coldzera goes for the peek, misses the first shot, and there's the punish. Oh, Phelps has found himself, actually not quite a good enough timing to come off the ladder. One by one, slowly but surely, Complexity take advantages.
Dominoes in slow motion. He'll fall eventually. That didn't look comfortable. Fur finds himself alone on the A-bomb site. So the bomb will be planted. Some bonus money for Sick. And Fur will... He's trying to avoid these SMGs, I suppose. So somebody tries to... I think he's expecting someone to move into the A-bomb site, and maybe he gets a double dink and gets some much-needed money. $300 for a kill? That's a smoke grenade. That's a high explosive towards main. Again, I think it's worth still mentioning on Train... MiBR, actually Fur, who recently put out a video on how to play different positions, a lot around the A-bomb site of Train, definitely worth looking up. Lots of juicy information, how to throw grenades towards the team main position and other things. So definitely look that up when the match is over. Lots to learn on Train, and I'm sure everybody could benefit from it. Now we see the first buy round for both teams. MiBR, of course, starting with 5 scopes, 4 orgs, and the AWP on a naked Fallen. He's naked, Dan. You can't arrest him, he is the police.
Yeah, he's got the HE there. Towards Connector, as you mentioned, towards T-Con. Really important to get those nades across really quickly to make sure that you can get the position you want as the CTs. You don't allow any Ts to escape T-Con. Towards Olof, they can still dive through though, but MiBR with the 1-4 setup. Now this is where things get interesting. Obviously, first proper buy round for MiBR. Still some SMGs in play. It would be pretty amazing if Complexity could win this one. They're looking like they're going to barrel into the inner bomb site, but that's just been reinforced by MiBR.
Def is holding a smoke. So are they going to try and solve something towards the A site? They've got no players in position on A to try and draw attention. And MiBR so close to connect, so they're in for a very quick rotation. Taco not quite tracking fast enough there, and the bomb will be planted default. Man advantage for Complexity. Now, ideally, they want to move through the train yard and take the back of it. They've got a player towards Oil already with a diagonal angle towards Connector. So MiBR trying to cross, they've got to be careful. They will be familiar with these angles, but life is hard on Train, especially when you're trying to make inroads. The smokes are up. There's still a man advantage, and now there's a flank from Def as well.
Fallen wants to peek so badly, but he's just not getting the peeks that he wants. And as you say, the flank's in, and that's going to absolutely seal the deal here. And, ooh, coldzera goes down without a frag as well. Oboe 10 for 1 already. Mr. Oboe doing quite a good job. And that's such an important round to win because they had the SMGs. Now they get unimaginable amounts of cash because MiBR will be eco territory again. Well, half-buy territory, so it should be an easier one. Another round for Complexity to build some money. That's so much security going into future rounds. And I would say that MiBR should be at their scariest on their CT side. So for Complexity to have such a strong result already, I feel like we could have a really competitive series on our hands.
Oops, that is not what coldzera needed. Not at all. There is a common angle you can hold here, though. Basically, where these two walls line up, ideally with a rifle. I think it's these two walls. Yeah, you can catch somebody off guard. It's an angle Nico will sometimes hold on rare occasion. On the CT side, you don't want to get caught holding the same angle all the time. You've got to mix it up. MiBR looking to try and get something out of these close checkpoints, these tight checkpoints rather, with these pistols. So the grenades you see at the back there, those are the standard grenades. You bounce the smoke grenade off just like that. And then sometimes you see a Molotov to the right-hand side. We've seen that already, but they will re-smoke to isolate players, to remove a crossfire. Now, you see there is a player elevated on the train to the right-hand side. When the smoke is to the right of Ricke's position, then the CTs can see a rotation, almost a team kill, but they're doing okay, Complexity, and they're doing even better now that they've won the round. 5-0, a fantastic start for them. Time for MiBR to wake up.
Yeah, they just had the acceptable losses there with 2 deaths. Once you get to 3 players dying, then you're starting to lose money. But if you've only got 2 players dying, you know, you're still building money, still building bank. So Complexity are going to be extremely happy with this. This is one of those, this is like a perfect start, pretty much. As perfect as you can have against a team like MiBR. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep it going now. As the full buy comes in from MiBR, a fast movement there into Olofmeister from Obo as he goes towards Sandwich. Phelps goes deep as well. Flashbang into T-Con, and he is wondering where the hell these players are, but there he is. Obo pushing Sandwich, gets himself a double. Obo with a fantastic game. What a showing so far, 13 for 1, and he is threatening more damage. He gets it onto Fur, damage that is, but not the kill. He'll finally be dismantled, but look at the chaos he's sown.
Look at the frustration. Did you see Phelps' reaction? He's taking a heavy sigh. He's not happy with the current situation. Seems that Obo will be having a breakout performance pretty damn quickly. 13 for 2 against MiBR on the T side of train. He's 15, looks so happy. No pressure at all, just enjoying life. Jason Lake's down here as well, met him earlier. He's got to be happy with this pickup so far. Looking very, very explosive indeed, very focused. Again, no jitters, no nerves. If they make it through to the live audience tomorrow, then maybe we'll see something different. Then again, maybe we won't. 40 seconds for Complexity to capitalize on their advantages, moving through towards the A site. They need to take control of Ivy in order to plant the bomb, and it will be the meat shield with Sick trying to hold an angle. Now, again, Ivy, so important. The whole area, pre-post, plant. Ricke's been taken out, 3v3 now as Fur tries to creep through, but Sick will take him out. Another youngster, only 20 years old. And now Taco's left in a 1 versus 3. May soon be spotted by Sick, who jumps on the train. There's a lot for Taco to do. He doesn't have a defuse kit. There's probably one somewhere, but of course, 1 versus 3. I think he's resigned to trying to save, maybe picking up an AWP or something along those lines, but it's a 6-0 scoreline for Complexity.
Absolutely, and if Obo can continue to create so much chaos, it's gonna really be taxing for MiBR because they're never gonna really find their. It'll be difficult for them to find their footing if they can never get stabilized on these defenses. And Obo, look, he got to this position so quickly because I believe it was Phelps who got the smoke in towards T-Con, and they got a flash. They flashed Phelps in. They had no idea Obo had made it that far already.
He's got the biggest smile on his face. He's so happy. He's just loving it. That is fantastic.
Look at
what
this
a great
buy.
performance so far. Pardon?
Look at the buy. Max 7's out.
Yeah.
Deagles.
This buy is quite ropey, isn't it? Phelps is 0 for 6 at the moment. That would explain some of his frustration. Falling 1 for 6, not really having the signature scout plays just yet. And guess who? It's Obo once again. He's just captain harassment for Complexity at the moment. Instant trade for his teammate as well. That gun will be hard to retrieve for the time being. There's no one else on the B bomb site. We've got 3 players moving up Ivy in the meantime. Phelps taking some damage from Obo. He is everywhere. He is a giant problem.
I'm a fan already, James. He's doing massive amounts of damage. The Deagle's coming into play, though. Finally, we know how dangerous coldzera is with the Deagle. He'll be trying to do what he can, but he's been spotted, he's been tagged up, and he's very weak now. Another couple bullets will do it. And, oh, there it is. coldzera, the precision with that Deagle is fearsome, to say the least. And he's found his way around the back of Shazam here if he gets this kill. As Def goes across for the bomb, coldzera, he's got an awesome round in his hands. He can't find Def in time, though. What an effort from Cole, but it is not enough.
The damage was good. That grenade timing from Shazam was unfortunate for him because it gave coldzera all the information, and he still had some areas to play with. So a big output from Coldzera, just a one shot with the Deagle, as he often does. Beautiful stuff from him, but it's still a clean sheet for Complexity. They made it expensive, but it's not a big deal, especially when you are on the T side. They have so much money that it's just a case of whatever. Now MiBR 0-7. They have one AWP. They've got Fer on the M4A4 as opposed to the AUG in this particular round. Shazam, he's come such a long way since he first burst onto the scene. Called up to the top teams a little too early, but definitely learned a lot and has shown that much stronger player mentally in terms of decision making than he first was. It's night and day, the difference.
Obo's, they've only played 7 rounds, James, and he's 15 for 3. It's slightly more than 2 kills a round. How about that?
Yeah, there's plenty more rounds to do it though. Shazam looks to have a smoke lined up, probably going towards Connector. The one I do slightly different, but it seems to be roughly the same spot. Maybe this one goes a little deeper. There's a flashbang to go with it as well. And information will be denied. They're trying to burst onto the site. It is a 5 versus 2 situation, so surely there will be trades. Worst case scenario, maybe trades won't be needed. Taco taken out, and there is Fallen. Now MiBR do not have position, but they're going for it. They've got an early frag onto Obo. Now he's dead. Maybe they can win a round.
Maybe, just maybe. But still, 3 versus 3, even after that kill from Phelps. And Sick is close. Now, what's the play here around the smoke? This is... Oh, okay, well, that's going to make things even more dangerous because they might have to cut some corners now. MiBR, not enough players to look at all the spots, and Sick is going to get one as well. And that leaves Coldzera alone. I don't think he can do this now. And he's going to get flanked by Sick. 8-0. Complexity are crushing it right now.
Dan, there is no way, there is no scenario where MiBR can afford to lose Train. Because Vertigo, not for Vertigo, for Variance. That map is Variance. That map is a question mark. It's an asterisk. It's a roulette wheel.
I do think MiBR can play it quite well, though, from what we've seen. But yeah, no.
That is true. They definitely have their own style. But from what we've seen of Vertigo in general, is complete variance. Complexity have a new player in Obo, where they're not going to have professional familiarity. Perhaps they've come across him in FPL, but this is a completely different scenario. So there are so many unknowns for MiBR. New in-game leader for Complexity. All you can do is kind of adjust in the moment to what they're doing, as opposed to having hard counters prepared for them before the match starts. Tactical timeout at the moment for MiBR, and I guess one has been called by Complexity as well. 8-0 for Complexity. No one would have seen this coming.
No, absolutely not. Obo obviously having such a profoundly impactful performance, just in getting he's getting his spots and he's just getting the kills. It's really as simple as that, and that's all it takes. And that one round where he was able to get towards Sandwich and get the backstab on 2 players, that really threw MiBR off balance. So it's a lot to be desired here for MiBR, because their economy's just been in tatters the whole time.
I need to see those pinnacle odds. I need to see what the situation was, or what the situation is, because someone's going to be pressing a panic button, man. This is very, very unprecedented. We have some more Desert Eagles out. Obo with the AWP as well, showing some versatility.
The best spawn. He's going to throw that back to Shazam. Which, even though... So he throws it back to Shazam. Obviously, he's got low HP in some games. I actually do wonder how that works, by the way, James. Like, if you're directly below someone, it is, like, always a headshot from that position. I do wonder.
I don't think so.
I feel like it's so often a headshot when you're directly below them. I don't know. Maybe I'm out of my damn mind.
That's definitely correct.
Well, it's a good start for MiBR, but more work is there to be done.
These kind of situations are quite nervous, I think, for Complexity at the moment, especially based on what we saw yesterday. They have no answer to these frags just yet. Obo partly needs to protect this weapon, but he has to be trying to he's got to keep an eye on like the information he's seeing, the communication so important right now to keep an eye on where roughly the known opponents are. But it's just coldzera and Taco remaining, so perhaps there is some recovery to be had. Perhaps there isn't, because now it's Shazam with an AWP, which makes it hard for him to avoid getting traded necessarily, depending on the situation. Okay, there we go. There's more shouting from Complexity. 9-0. We have 0 rounds for MiBR. No rounds whatsoever. Nil point. Where are the rounds?
I gotta say, you know, because I haven't really seen Ovo play, and you know, we get to see him every so often in the POV, it's actually really interesting because, you know, you can actually tell so much from a POV, just how a player's thinking and sort of the pace that they're thinking. Like if you watch, you know, a Stewie POV, like Stewie just is faster than the vast majority of other people in everything that he does. And you can kind of see his thought process as he goes from thing to thing that he focuses on. Obo as well is like really fast player. So looking forward to seeing more from him, but that's a good start from MiBR there. Fallen catching a faster movement towards inner. Complexity just want to go straight in there, but finally, big resistance in the form of Fallen's AWP. But Obo, of course, with the trade, how much more can Complexity get?
It's really important that they move through the bomb train to the back, and I don't know if Sick realized he had the bomb. Perhaps he picked it up from a Fallen teammate. If they are to win around Complexity, they got to push forward, and I think Sick was prioritizing that. No time to look at the HUD at that moment. So the bomb's in a very unusual spot, but look at the comeback. This is ridiculous. All right, Shazam's in a 1 versus 2. He has plenty of clutch in him, and he's got plenty of time as well. He knows that one of the 2 remaining players is, but doesn't know where the last one is, and it will finally be a round from MiBR. And I feel like that's partly because Complexity chose to rush, and they lost 1 player. You saw the Molotov down the ramp as well, but there was no abort called, so Fallen got a second 1 versus 1, delivered another kill, and they weren't able to recover from that situation. So now MiBR are on the board, and perhaps they will feel like that momentum has stopped. I think this is a mental barrier which has been passed now for MiBR, and perhaps we will see a change in momentum.
And I think that's also great fortune for MiBR, just because that's the moment when Fallen was inner with the AWP, which he's doing again, which, you know, Fallen's going to most often be around green train or connector. You know, that's generally more expected positioning for him with an AWP, especially as a sole AWP. But look at this. This is a way to get massive value. It's hard to trade an AWP, especially if it's in an unexpected position. Complexity will change up the game plan, though, going 3 towards Ivy. But there are 2 players here to defend, both Fire and coldzera. coldzera waiting for the boost. A predictable move as far as he's concerned. And now there's another opening pick from MiBR. And Complexity don't have much to say for it. They don't have much control of Ivy just yet. They're starting to push it, though. And considering that there's 2 Ivy and 2 Pop Dog, and no one's near the bomb, this is awkward now for Complexity. Very awkward indeed.
Recovery still possible for MiBR. Ooh, Obo really wanted to get that dome, but he didn't manage to do it. And this is a terrible situation now for Complexity. Perhaps momentum has completely swung in favor of MiBR, but they are the ones who can't make too many errors at the moment. Everyone survives. Very important to build their money for the rounds to come. And Complexity will start to run out of cash once they get through this buy. We'll see what they're left with. As terrible as this game has been so far for MiBR, it could finish in a very different fashion.
It's very true. I would imagine, though, as we see Complexity taking a tactical timeout, that Complexity might go back either to some slower rounds with some defaults. You know, you could try to just go for that really simple, basic round. Just slow the pace down completely. MiBR are probably going to dump a lot of utility early in the rounds because Complexity have been playing quickly. We see Fallen going for these quick pushes as well because he's expecting people to be playing quickly from Complexity. So if you then slow the pace down enormously, what happens is you get the utility advantage on the T side. You can then play the pump and dump type style later on or pump fake, sorry, which will draw out even more utility, maybe all that's left, and then you can go for your set piece on the bomb side. That could be a way to play a situation like this after you've conditioned your opponent. And look how aggressive Fallen is being towards Ivy now. They're constantly trying to use Fallen's AWP to get picks on the extremities of the map before Complexity move in with their main push. And look at all the information he's about to get as well.
I feel like the nature of this game has drastically changed in just a few minutes. MiBR now will feel like they're in the driving seats.
Look at the positioning, James. There's 3 on B already.
Because of the information of Fallen having pushed Ivy, maybe expecting some more presence towards Ivy if it was a play towards A. But look at the rotation now. They're starting to get nervous. Itchy feet, Cold Zero moving back towards CT spawn. We've got Phelps near the ladder towards Heaven. Oh, he's in Heaven actually, on the ladder now as Complexity start to spread. There's no one really to stop them from taking these positions. They've got smokes up, a wall of smoke, so they won't be too worried about Ivy just yet. Fallen and Phelps though with stereo frags. Cold Zero trying to deliver as well. 3 versus 3 as Hacker makes his way through Connector. Takes down Obo by E-Box, but traded by Stop Sign by Sick. A massive 180 headshot from him, leaving Fur alone on a rotation. Coming in through the ladder room. 2 players around Connector more or less for Complexity. You see the elevation, and Fur maybe spotted by Sick. That's a long spray, not quite there with bursts, and Sick will deliver another headshot. 4 kills for him in that round. Very important as Complexity moves to 10.
Yeah, great round from Sick. That's fantastic stuff. And I like the positioning from Complexity as well. And they go for that set piece. They don't complicate it either. They just set up. Obviously, there's about 30 seconds that have gone in the round. Then they just kind of go for it through Popdog and T-Con. And given the fact that Fallen's taking aggressions and so on and so forth, that was actually pretty effective because everyone's out of position. Complexity really not out of this. They have so many options on their T side to pick up rounds at this point that it gets really scary for MiBR. I would be surprised if MiBR get more than 3 or 4 rounds at this point, considering how well Complexity have been playing this.
You're calling 3 or 4, do you mean in this half or in the whole game?
In this half.
You're calling 3 or 4 rounds total with 3 rounds remaining, Dan.
Yeah.
You are the dodgiest of experts, honestly.
No, I'm just...
Where's your tarot shot?
So what I'm saying is I feel like it's very unlikely that MiBR will be able to string rounds together, just because if Complexity lose a round, they have so many options to go to mix things up, to make things very awkward for MiBR at this point. And so hard to get momentum back when a team has so many working options.
They've just lost Ivy and Popdog at the same time, and the Fallen will get taken out around the E-Box position. So this is a big issue. We've got 2 players by Old Bomb. The bomb site's not there anymore, so they better get their skates on. Taco's been spotted, trying to force Shazam away. Shazam has presence towards Ivy, but not necessarily control. There are angles for MiBR to play with, as evidenced by Fur around Stop Sign. Obo's been taken out. They know where Shazam is. They may not know where Def is just yet. Not sure if he's been taking some jaws. It looks like he may have, based on the way Taco's looking. Poor timing for him as Shazam pops out. That leaves Fur in a 1 versus 2. That bomb is very, very far ticked, and he's got no choice but to back away. It's nothing but gambling if he tries to defuse that bomb, and that's just not happening in this situation. 11 rounds for Complexity to the 2 of MiBR. I don't think anyone saw this coming, but this is awesome to watch.
Yeah, Complexity are playing really well. One thing that's really cool to think about is that, what Obo brings to the team in comparison to Stanislaw. Stanislaw is a really, really, really good Counter-Strike player, and he's very smart. But Stan, stylistically, is very different to Obo as well. Stan is someone that you want left alive, lost, honestly. You want him to be around for as long as possible. You want Stan to be lurking. You want him to be calling, getting information, and to be backstabbing people and so on. But Obo's, he has such an explosive and also dynamic to him. He's also very versatile, that it gives that punchiness to Complexity that I felt like was actually missing before. And so I'm enjoying that explosive dynamic that they're bringing to the table here. And one of the crazy things, that, as I mentioned, is that they have so many options to win rounds. Their ability to convert on inner has been really remarkable. Their set pieces on the A site have been reliable. The only thing that's been sort of 50-50 is their Ivy takes. Sometimes it goes their way, sometimes it doesn't. But pretty much everything's working, James. That's not how it's supposed to work against the CT side. CT side should be able to shut down most things, but MiBR are struggling to take initiative. They're struggling to take map control in the forward spots. And Shazam, great pick. Catches Cold Zero immediately.
2 rounds remain. 2 rounds for MiBR. What a scenario this is. With Vertigo as map number 2, everything is wide open at the moment. Complexity creeping towards upper B. Look at that peek from Def. Shows some elbow. Taco exposes his position and is forced to concede. Fallen holding an angle with the scout, no AWPs, so much difficulty, shortcomings for MiBR, lack of utility, lack of personnel, lack of rifles. They've got the M4A4 and the scout, no AWP, and there's loads of flashbangs. People are blind. Taco's got so much to do. Needs some distraction from his teammates. He's done so much. 2 versus 2. The M4A4 and the scout. Fallen needs a headshot. He has to deliver the headshot. Maybe he doesn't. Sick taken out. That leaves Def alone in a 1 versus 2. Really solid headshot, but never mind. Let's just move on, shall we?
Oh, very nice from Def. 1 more to go. Fallen with the scout. No kit. I don't know if there's one on the ground. It's unlikely, considering how limited their money's been. Full defuse. He's got to get the frag here. Fallen, he's picked up the AK-47. He's closing the distance here. Throws the flashbang up. Goes up the ladder. Tries to chase Def. Def realizes what's going on. Takes an off angle that's far superior. And Fallen plays right into it. Nothing else Fallen could have done. Has to chase it down. And Def converts. 12-2, and Complexity are outclassing MiBR so far. And it is a scary prospect. I mean, we saw Complexity, you know, in a very limited fashion so far this tournament with Obo. This is the first best of 3 we're seeing from them.
Obo 19 for 9. A man like Def, Roadman Def, finishing off that second last round. 12-2 for Complexity. The star is shining bright at the moment. Fur has had quite enough. One of his signature weapons, an MP9, makes his way into the main position, looking to collect a weapon.
Oh.
Just about escaping with it. Looking very dangerous. Phelps up close will take out 6. And maybe there is a 3rd round in this half for MiBR.
Great flashbang comes out for coldzera to do damage, and he's going to do a lot of damage. There's only 2 players. Oh, sorry, there's only 1 player left after that double kill, and Shazam's been having a fantastic game so far. He's only got 9 kills, but I feel like he's delivered some really important ones. Down to 1 HP, can you believe it? It's the last round, it doesn't really matter too much. He's not going to win this one, and indeed, he will be shut down. That is 12-3. What a scoreline from Complexity.
MiBR will have to try and recover in the second half. That's coming up next. Show me the numbers. Show me the numbers. I want to know where things stand right now. Well, would you look at that? This is quite the difference, not what we were expecting. If you got some coins in at the beginning of this, then you might be laughing. But that is really the situation. That kind of tells you the situation we're in right now. MiBR start on the T side of train with 3 rounds to the 12 of complexity. This is very bizarre to say the least.
Yeah,
on paper at least.
It's a great. Honestly, it was a great T side from complexity. They made so many things work, which can be really trying on a map like this. And now they're on the CT side. It's a much simpler ask. And given the confidence that they must have at this point, and considering also that they were taking no fair duels, there's like some of the players were very no respect, just get it in there. And this worked out brilliantly well. Now the pistols, that's fantastic. Shazam popping Taco in midair. 2 bullets, 2 kills. Let's go. Ricky as well, very blind player to fight against. Struggling though, Shazam making that P2K sing.
Yeah, he's
and what
so
a
patient.
beautiful tune it is.
Lots of shouting from complexity every round, and that really compounds the problem for MiBR. Will we see the Force Fire? Will they go for the long road and the AK-47s in the next round? Great start. Again, Shazam, obviously the sniper, but he is very, very well known for the pistols as well. Great patience from him. Beautiful stuff. Taking it in his stride. A flow of consciousness from Shazam. So it will be the Force Buy from MiBR, a lot of Desert Eagles, and Scout for Fallen. Now, if you're towards T-Main, for example, with the Desert Eagle, then there are some very tight channels. If you can bait the CTs into trying to duel you, there isn't so much space for them to jiggle, so it can kind of encourage the headshots, but that might not be the case on this occasion. Phelps looking to maybe punish an overzealous complexity player, maybe somebody on the reload. Indeed, it will be the latter. Moving in, taking liberties, waiting for a repeak. He has taken some map control, but Ricky is aware of what's possible as well. Did he just about see Phelps? I'm not sure if he did. Yeah, just about saw an elbow, and that might be a saving grace for them. Who knows, that could have been an opportunity for MiBR, but it was taken away.
Yeah, Coldzera now looking to get his peaks on with that Deagle. He's, again, lethal with it, but you only get a couple of chances at best. And so the chances will be gone. He will get the kill, but the trades will be in, and there's not too much to worry about. Complexity moving to 14 rounds. This is going to be a fast train, it would seem, as there's only going to be one good buy before MiBR are out of this. And Complexity going to have loads of money to fall back on. They're laughing at the moment. They are loving it. You can't ask for a more perfect game when you're playing against a team like MiBR. What a surprising result so far.
Well then, it is going to be 12 rounds in a row required, most likely for MiBR, but they do, of course, have a chance in this one, although chances feel like they've been quite limited. 6 spotting, there's a Molotov just in case. Fire in Pop Dog as well. Or Ladder Rumors it's called in North America. We call it Pop Dog in Europe, but they call that something else.
So this is a pretty desperate spot. MiBR have to rush the B-bomb site, get the numbers in, but there's going to be more than enough to deal with this. Again, Cold delivering with the Deagle, but
there's a chance for a bomb planter. Oh, no. The bomb is exposed.
Yeah.
It's in an exposed position, and MiBR looking pretty exposed at the moment by Complexity. 12 game points, 12 Vertigo points for Complexity.
The fashion in which Complexity have found themselves in this position is alarming, to say the least. But you got to credit where credit is due. They've played excellent Counter-Strike here so far, and perhaps the 16-3 is to be their reward. We'll see if there's any life in MiBR in this round, if they can keep themselves in it. Phelps just diving out towards E-Box, found himself in a 4th position, now just down to hitting the shots, evading some of the utility. He's alone here, actually, but you look at this fake, it's worked out really well. Even though he doesn't get a kill, MiBR do have position on the B-bomb site for a plant, but can Complexity get through connector? Looks like they may not be able to. Oh, that's okay, that wasn't supposed to go there. He got stuck, that smoke, and perhaps this might be a bit difficult now for Complexity.
Complexity only need to win 1 round. So with 12 opportunities to win 1 round, how much do you want to risk? MiBR in a situation where they've got all the rifles already, so there's not much upgrading to be done if they're allowed to win this round. Complexity are moving through that. They've got 2 diffuse kits on the players. Def has found himself on the high ground already, and Taco is too deep to stop the bomb from being defended. It's all about Fallen on the high ground with the AWP, but there's a smoke. He's going for the knife, and he's just about going to make it. And that should be the round. However, Complexity have made it more expensive than it might have otherwise been for MiBR. Only Taco will survive, and he won't have an AWP. And maybe that will be the difference maker for the next round.
Good work by MiBR there. They really sold that, even though Phelps didn't get any kills, because it was such a fast play. It worked out really well. It was quite fun to watch Phelps just diving out towards E-Box, kept himself alive, pushed down green train towards the bomb train before finally getting taken out. Alive for just enough time. MiBR slow things down for this round. They're spamming the halls in case any grenades were to be lined up at that moment. Flashbang, pop flash for the take here from Obo towards the ladder room. And flashbang not necessarily required, it seems, but there it is. Make things safe.
1 minute 10 on the clock. The bomb above the ladder room, it seems, towards the B bomb site perhaps. Fer looking to creep around main. Fallen lining something up. Complexity, patience. Ricky is holding upper B with the AWP from Connector. 1 of 2. Shazam has the other one, of course, the primary sniper. Let's not forget Ricky is quite the sniper himself, but Shazam is going to be the one to deliver so far. Obos gets taken out. There is an important trade though. Def will hold his ground. That's a beautiful shot. That's not an easy shot to land, and that is it. Denial and rejection is like being the ugly kid in school. A dominating game of Train from Complexity. A huge upset for Fer and co. All of them MiBR must be shell-shocked. They lost their pick Train and they head to Vertigo. Absolute carnage and madness. I don't know how Freya and co are going to break this down after the break. Stay tuned to find out.
Took my heart and made it colder. I took my soul and tried to run, but I have nowhere to hide. And you'll find me every time. Me forever. I should have known it was a lie, but you always know what to say, and I always end up this way. You pretty little lies. got me wrapped around your finger. When you do the things you do, you got me wrapped around your finger. Your pretty little lies. With your pretty little lies. There's a warning on the back of this love. Take a little and you can't get enough. It's a devil's game, but I just can't give it up. I'm a shadow holding hands with the dark. You're a dying flame in need of a spark, but you're bound to fall the way I'm playing this part. You're catching fire to the beat of my heart. I say you're catching fire. I'll leave you burning, burning. I'll leave you burning, burning. Hear me when I say I'm no good for you. You better run so I can break my way through. In the blinding light, the fever's tainting the view. I'm the hunter, you're the prey in the night. Like an eagle, I got you in my sight. Fool for you, now I can't stop drooling fire. I'll leave you burning. I'll leave you burning, burning.
An absolute stomping is what we left off with from Complexity before the break, taking the Brazilians down 16-4 on their own map pick train. I don't even know where we're going to start breaking that one down. That was unbelievable.
Ooh, I want to start with 3 letters. OBO.
Okay, well, it's technically only 2.
Well, okay. You got me there. Okay, fair enough. Technically correct, right?
Look, I think when you paint this picture, Freya first of all said their map choice. That's something very important, right? So you would expect them to come out here with a game plan. That's the first thing. Okay, Complexity, a new in-game leader. That's a not usually a point of success right there. A 15-year-old who hasn't played on a LAN before, especially a LAN of this kind of environment, and he's acing on the pistol round. Ricky hasn't been able to play Tier 1 or Tier 2 Counter-Strike in significant time due to visa issues going back into the States to practice with the team. They have 0 officials with this roster. They had, what, maybe a week of practice?
Yeah.
These aren't normally recipes to stomp out a team like MiBR with 4 members who have won majors twice, but this is ridiculous. Like, there's no other way of putting how this matchup has unfolded here. No one could have predicted this because you had nothing to go off for Complexity. You have a hope and a prayer. Maybe you could do a little bit of praying. But that's about it, because otherwise there's no stock that could have possibly been put in this team, and definitely no way that anybody could have predicted them to come and win this fashion.
No.
I mean, if you look at even the old squad, right? Like from Complexity, their track record on train wasn't necessarily that great either. I mean, it was 3 losses to ATK, Lazarus, and those kind of teams, right? Not the caliber of MiBR.
Yeah.
And as you said, this is supposed to be, it has been in the past, and it should still be a very strong map for MiBR. This was just a complete implosion from the Brazilians. But I think that was largely due to the fact that Complexity was playing great. Up-tempo, just really well thought out. Such a big difference, such a stark contrast from what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I remember Fallen coming up to me after they qualified for the Face It Major. We were having an interview. It was on train. They managed to qualify, and he came up to me and goes, "Still the king of train, baby." What? I mean, I don't even know how to come back from that. Now it seems like a sore sight, right?
Look, obviously the series isn't done yet, but at some point, I think the question or the discussion needs to start being about MiBR and where their heads could possibly be at as a team, right? Because they reached the highest heights. They would be like Counter-Strike royalty, right? But what they have done is they've built an empire out of nothing. These guys started, you know, it's a fairy tale story where they started and where they are now. But now they have so much more on their plates, right? If you follow them on social media, if you follow them at all, they're a massive brand now. They're doing lots of stuff in their home countries. There's lots of other things they have to think about. So where I'm going with this is you have to question their focus, right, and their priorities. Now, everybody wants to be a competitor, everybody wants to win, but at some point before it was they needed to win to live. Now they've built a life off of this. So this is a question or a conversation. Let's see how this series pans out, because they can definitely bounce back. But something that should be had. But if we want to stay on the positive, this is fantastic scenes from Complexity here. This team coming together like this, it's hard to really know what to expect. And to be fair, my expectations were very low. But these are more than positive signs.
Yeah, I mean, Ibo literally kicked it off with an ace in the pistol round. Like, you cannot ask for much more than that, really.
Yeah, I think it was sitting at 13 frags, 5 rounds in.
Yeah.
Like, he was just tearing them apart every single round. I mean, saw the first buy round there in the highlights as well, being able to get into Olaf just within, you know, milliseconds, catching 2 players by MiBR, you know, completely off guard. And just off the back of that, his, you know, contribution is done. That pretty much sets up Complexity for one of the easiest rounds they'll get all game. It's incredible to have that kind of an impact and actually have the gusto as a 15-year-old to do that
kind of players,
exactly.
And also for his team to have confidence in doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like for Dev to be like, yeah, you go ahead and do that. The rest of us will be waiting, you know, with you know, flowers at the finish line.
Well, exactly. I mean, I was literally just down there seeing that winning moment for them. Managed to run up here to the desk, but it was definitely worth watching because Warden literally just went over to him and was just like, "You're playing incredibly," and he was like, "Thank you," and that was it. It was just like, it was so easy for them, right? It was such a nice sight to behold that he's like almost like the father figure to him, you know? It's just like, keep doing it, keep going.
You know, it's the bike. He's let go of the handlebars and away they go. But now when you move into Vertigo, when you look at this second map, so these guys have 2 maps on record now, both here at this LAN. Now you move into Vertigo, which is the unknown for everybody, realistically. You know, most of the teams who have played it a lot are within the Tier 2, Tier 3 teams. So to come in, it's obviously something that they focus on. A Gambit pick they have just for this environment especially. Now, you did note that MiBR played it and they beat Liquid on it, but we don't have a good gauge of where anybody's at on this map. It's impossible to know. So coming into this, if you could look at this as a very good chance for Complexity to take this 2-0.
Yeah, sounds pretty crazy, but very, very true.
Well, we can take a look at our odds, and I'm sure they're going to be absolutely switched up compared to what we saw. Yep, completely. Having
half, pretty much.
Cutting in half for Complexity, which is obviously still in the favour of MiBR, because we know that they are a solid roster. Again, been together for a much longer period of time, were together way before this, lifted the trophy at ECS Season 3, so they are a solid roster, but I'm interested to see if they can bounce back in the second map.
Do you feel Brazilians?
Brazilians. I think they kind of have to summon that right now. Again, they didn't leave their booth during that entire break. They pretty much was sitting there talking things over, and obviously they need to have a bit of a stern talking to from Suze. But yeah, I just really hope that the time off they took to prep has been, you know, partly into Vertigo. Otherwise, they're in for a rude surprise.
They have a 100% win rate on this map.
Yep.
So
as you said,
the best analysis we can do.
2 maps, right?
One.
It's
they
the only
played
one versus Liquid?
against Liquid and they won 16-11. So that's it. That's all we know.
Well, I mean, they could go for that same game plan, potentially coming out. But that's the thing, if Complexity are prepared, and if, I mean, Shazam literally said, we are going to be a Vertigo team, they've obviously put a lot of preparation
Players
into it.
say lots of things.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, he was true to his word, and I didn't think he was going to be by actually picking Vertigo, not even just floating it.
Yeah, I think the hard thing for us to do here on the desk is when a map isn't established, when we don't have a meta, when we don't have any test of where they land, all we can look at is the form of the previous map. And if you just go off the form of the previous map, then Complexity are the favorites.
Yeah.
Right? And that's all you can really do in this situation, because you can't even base anything off of history. There is no history.
Yeah, well, I think that is the difficult thing as well. But they're going to be trying to make history, I think, on this and keep. They're 1 map away from being knocked out of Season 7, which is insane. Considering their road from the qualifiers, managing literally to scrape through by the skin of their teeth in weeks 4 and 5 to come here and then for it to all go.
And doing so, denying the #1 team in the world to actually, get to London.
Yeah. Are you going to bring it up after they get knocked out, or are you going to do it now that I predicted MiBR to win the whole thing?
You kind of brought it up yourself.
Yeah.
I was thinking I would let it slide because I also started off the pregame we did on day one saying I think MiBR might be one of the top 2 hottest teams coming into the tournament. That's definitely not what we've been seeing, and I think hopes of them lifting that trophy at the very end of it seems very bleak right now.
Well, we will see if they are still in with a chance of lifting that trophy as we head into our second map of this second best of 3. James and Dan,